ago, we tried to give money to Jeremy Capel and Aria Brown and Cindy Scheffler Trust, but it didn't get to them. So we said, we're gonna have it done. So now our money gets to Israel. So anyway, so thank you for.
Well, like, half the people I know, I didn't know because they've been for life. And he lives up in Amarillo, and he's often here. And other 501c3s. Yes.
I have a 501c3 called Outdoor Missions, and I actually look for really good mission work that, I vet, and then I try to hook them up, with resources and stuff like that. So I'm kind of a matchmaker, if you will. So I use hunting and fishing to do that, and travel, adventure travel. This is my friend Rufus Lutic.
And you're from Africa?
Yes, I'm from South Africa, our non-profit is Village South Africa, and we work with orphans and for education for children.
Everybody get that? I mean, this is just great. Are there other 501c3s here? Father, don't you have a 501c3? Well, tell us about it.
Bless y'all. We are with Homeland Missions. I've seen so many people saying, we're going to go over there and wanting people to sponsor them. I said, brother, I don't see anywhere around here. I'm in the streets, been in the streets 50 years, never heard of it. Can you prove to me what you do over there? And so I said, I'm going to be Homeland Missions, me and my wife. So we work with people. And this is my dear friends from Prestonwood Baptist Church. They heard about this and they said, we want to go meet Ann, Stacy, and John. So, so I brought that one, this one, that one, that one, that one. If you'll ask people to go with you somewhere, they'll go. But when you don't speak, in Proverbs it says, he that has friends must show himself friendly. Start being friendly, and you can bring people, you can take people in. So God bless you. I love Ann and John.
And Karen Lowry is a local elected official. Stand up, Karen, tell them what you do.
I'm place 7 at GISD trustee.
And I tell you what, we are, that makes me think that Lawfield Cruz, T. Cruz's dad is going to be here on the 11th, Saturday, and we're going to do the same thing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I asked him, he was here December 7th, and he did something for me to go up to Weatherford. He was up in Weatherford to a college up there to speak. And he spoke on, a part of what he talked about was the Granbury Baptist church letter that Jefferson wrote, that has gotten misconstrued to mean the separation of the church and the state. And so he did, and I was so shocked at people I knew that I had invited that they said, well, I've never heard that before. So I asked him if he'll come and speak on that, and also speak on the 14th Amendment, where, this is one that got me. I guess I even taught government, and it just flew by me. Whether, there's a great controversy about people who are born in the United States, who get 1 foot over into the United States, and then they're automatic citizens. And then after at a certain age, then chain migration starts, and then their mom and their dad and aunts and uncles and grandma and granddad. And it never was meant to be that way. So he's going to speak on the 14th Amendment, and he's just a delight, and we'd love to have you come back for that, bring somebody with you. So, but you did come to hear, well, I got to tell you one more thing. We have a couple of things coming up. Rabbi Chaim Eisen is a really big, important rabbi in Israel, in Jerusalem. And he will be here the 11th. We'll have February. We'll have a luncheon for him. And my story about him is I put a little 15-minute video out that someone had done with him that said, how I came to respect you. And it was Rabbi Eisen. and he was talking to our good friend Bob Odell, or Bob Odell was interviewing him. And we had, on the coldest day of the year, that year, coldest day, with single-digit wind chill, and you see how hard it is to, we don't have good parking here. And we had over 65 people come. So I think that, hey Carol, did Rich not come? Is Rich here? Okay. Anyway, so that gives you an idea of what we do. We host people. Mostly we've hosted Orthodox Jews that I've met. And Mike does the same thing. And Julie Cerrone, who's going to interview Tova, who's really a professional person. She does interviews all the time. And I just can't say enough how fortunate we are to have Julie Cerrone. And let me get out of this and wander around and let her take over. But really, she is a professional. She has, and that's what she does. She has, what we do here, I guess we do a little bit of interviewing. We bring people who are mostly Orthodox Jews, who are mostly from Judea and Samaria, what the world calls the West Bank, which is not the right word, which we hope very soon will be the whole of Israel. But we bring them and for them to meet you and you to meet them. But Judy does it on a bigger scale than I ever thought about. So I'm going to bring her up, and she is Julie Cerrone. And Ministries. And we're going to get Tova, and we'll just Tova Feldman, who's going to tell you her story. Let me ask you, how many people know Tova in here? Well, quite a few. Now, out of those, how many have heard her full story? Just a few. Well, I tell you what, it's a story, and we're going to, when we finish, I want to talk to you about how precious she has been to us, and how she has really a lot of everything. I don't know if we would have Texas for Safe Israel or this house or anything if Tova Feldman had not been a part of it. It's really the truth. Julie Cerrone.
So Ann asked me if I would interview Tova. I've known Tova since we moved to Texas in 2008, and shortly thereafter went with a friend of mine to learn Hebrew, and Tova was our Hebrew teacher. So known Tova a long time, and she also taught my daughter.
Your daughter was 11 years old then.
Yeah. So my daughter was 11 then, and now she's 28. And so from learning Hebrew from Tova, when she was 11, she ended up living in Israel for 7 years and going to school over there, and now she is a senior advisor to the Israeli ambassador to the UN.
And that's because of her Hebrew.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm slightly jealous. I was just talking to Tova about coming to her house to work on my Hebrew because Lily's fluent in Hebrew, and obviously she needs to be because she's in an office where she's with all Israelis and that's what they speak. So I'm still in awe when I see her in that setting, and she, it all started with this woman right here. Anyway, so Tova, tell us where you were born, where you fit in your family, how many children were in your family, and how old you were during World War II.
Okay, first of all, in Texas, we say shalom, you old. And the second thing, I hope you will understand my Texas accent. And now, what were you asking?
Where did you grow up, and how many kids were in your family?
Okay, I was born in Jerusalem. Czechoslovakia. And if you don't mind to know my age, I was born in 1940 in Czechoslovakia. And what else?
And how many kids were in there?
Oh, we were 5, 4 girls and 1 boy.
And when was the first, the war sort of impacting your family?
Okay, about the war, we had many miracles happening to my family. My father was taken first from the house. He was self-employed. He was a carpenter, and they took him to a camp. Okay, the place I was born and raised was called Nitra, and my father was taken to Novaki. This is where the camp was, and the camp was, that time they were building the camp to bring in people.
Jews.
To,
Building a camp to bring Jews in.
yeah, to bring Jews in. And my mother and us 5 children were still remaining in the house. Also because my mother had documents like she would be Hungarian, but she wasn't. But the Jewish people from Hungary were taken later. Then when they came, maybe a year later, after my mother and us 5 children, what happened that we ended up at the same camp where my father was.
Wow.
And in the camp, I know twice we were on the list to go to Auschwitz, and twice they got us off the list because they needed my father to continue in working.
And they didn't take you because they thought that he would lose ambition to work? They thought he would work if he kept his family?
Yeah.
What did Julie say?
Okay. What happened later, there were partisans that were fighting the Germans. And what happened, the partisans came and forced open the gates and told everybody to run away. Then we did the same, even not knowing where to run and what to do, but we did. The first week, a Christian family took us in, but could not continue to keep us because it was too dangerous for them. And they let us go. Then we were going and not knowing where to, but were looking for a place to hide. And it was winter, and it was snowing, and finally we found a bunker. There were already other people there. I think altogether we were like 19 people. For water, we could use the snow melting. For food, the men took turns to go to one of the villages around and find some food. And this is how we shared whatever they brought back. On the way to the bunker, there was a carriage and horses going, And my parents asked the guy to let the kids sit on the carriage because we were walking so much and being so young. The oldest was under 10 years old. Then the guy agreed. At one point, my mother took us off from the wagon, and not too far from there, a bomb fell on the horse and carriage. And we were saved again. That's a huge miracle. And in the bunker, there was another big stress. There was a newborn there that was crying non-stop. And in the woods, the echo is much stronger than this was a very bad thing for all of us. And then one man went somewhere to one of the villages to find some food, and he was captured by the Germans. There were like 6 or 7 or 8 Germans, and he couldn't say, I am here just by myself, no such a thing in the woods. Then he came back with all those soldiers, and they ordered everybody out, and we were staying out, and one of the soldiers started to shoot, and he shot the mother and the baby, and all of us just watching. And from there, they took us to an empty school and kept us there for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know exactly, because when the war ended, I was only 5 years old, and I don't know all the details. But it was already like 3 weeks before the war ended, and they let us go. And we went home to Nitra, again walking a lot, and we came home.
How far was the walk?
Huh?
How far was the walk?
I don't know.
Days.
Days, yeah. And we came home, the house was there, but completely empty. And my father's shop was also completely empty. Nobody believed that we are going to come back. And this was in 1949. No, this was 1945. In 1949, my family and us, we emigrated to Israel.
So now I'm going to ask all my questions. When you were at the camp with your mom and your sisters, and your dad was working,
Yeah.
what did you guys do all day?
I don't know exactly, but probably nothing. There wasn't much to do. Yeah.
And when the partisans came, were you afraid that they were coming to kill you, or you don't really remember, you just knew you were told to run?
No, we just know that they opened the gates and told everybody to run. They didn't say what and where and how. Yeah.
And did you stay at that camp, like you stayed someplace with your dad? Like your whole family was together?
Yes.
And so when you found, you call it a bunker, is that like a cave? Or is it?
It was a cave in the mountain, but it wasn't there for a long time probably, because there were the people that were there were before us, and there was a fire going on all the time. Then, yeah, and I remember we were sleeping woods, beds made of wood. And my parents were very, very busy to keep us quiet. Yeah.
Talk about what your mom said to you about your shoes.
We were in the bunker for 9 months, and my mother didn't let us take off the shoes, just in case we need to run again. Then till today, I don't make one step in my house without shoes.
When you go to Tova's house, there's slippers. There's shoes or slippers that sit right by her bed because even when she steps
Yeah.
out, she steps into shoes.
Right.
The food that you ate, what did they find to bring back? And did they have to steal it?
Most of it was potatoes, and most of it we had the peels to eat of the potatoes. But for now I know it's very, very healthy. Then I didn't.
And when you went home, your house was empty. Your neighbors obviously were not Jewish, so it was your non-Jewish neighbors that took all your stuff.
Yes.
Were they upset to see you come back? Did anybody offer to give you anything back, or you just started over with nothing?
No, I don't remember having any contact with the neighbors. Nobody. Just was empty, completely empty. Even the curtains, everything.
Have you ever gone back?
No, I didn't go back. I don't have a desire to go back. Czechoslovakia wasn't a good place for me. That's it. I was just born there and raised, and that's it.
And when you went to Israel, where did you live when you first landed? And how did you get there?
Okay, we got to Israel. It was already the help of the Israeli government. Then we went from Nitra to Italy, and we were waiting there for 3 weeks for the ship to come and get us. There was one ship going back and forth.
This was in 1949.
Yes, in 49. And what else?
Where did you live?
Okay. We came to Israel, and my father got to work right away, and we were looking for housing. There wasn't too much, and the house that we found first, we really couldn't get there because there weren't roads. Then we needed to wait for a transportation, and then we found it was probably 2 months later. And then we found housing, and we started school.
Were you outside of Tel Aviv?
Yeah, we lived in Kiryat Ata. It's like 12 kilometers from Haifa, and this is where we were living. And my father worked in a kibbutz called Usha, and this was close to Kiryat Ata. And usually at that time, the kibbutzim did not have workers outside being members, but they didn't have a, what was it? Okay, he was a carpenter, and they didn't have a carpenter on their own. Then he worked there for 30-some years.
And what language do you speak?
Okay, when we came to Israel, we needed to learn Hebrew, but first we got to speak Yiddish because there were a lot of people from Poland and they spoke Yiddish, and we understood Yiddish because my parents used to talk to us. Then first we practiced to speak the Yiddish, and then we went to school and we learned Hebrew. No, but I know that we lost many of our relatives. And another thing, my father he had 6 brothers. All his brothers came back from the war, but all their wives and many children perished. And about my grandparents, I never met, I never knew, nothing. They also perished in the Holocaust. And my mother, she came from a family of 12, and 5 came back.
So before the war, did your parents plan on eventually making Aliyah to Israel, or they were
No.
always planning to live in Czechoslovakia?
I don't think they planned anything. I don't think they knew anything. Israel wasn't existing. When we came to Israel, Israel was 1 year. And what I remember for the first year, it was very hard on everybody. The whole country, everybody was on food stamps because there wasn't enough food for everybody. Everybody was on food stamps, and I remember my brother's bar mitzvah. Then my mother could buy more sugar, more flour, more eggs to make the celebration of the bar mitzvah, but everybody was the same thing. And there was no refrigerators, there were ice boxes, and we used to go out and buy the ice and stuff, but it was very difficult time for everybody. And my mother, she was crying how the fruit is so bad, and she meant the grapefruit were very bitter, and the olives were very bitter. Also in Czechoslovakia we didn't have all of that, but then she liked it.
Was your family religious?
Yeah, my family was religious, yes.
So, when you were in Czechoslovakia, your family was religious. Did you keep kosher?
Yeah.
And so this, I'm guessing, at some point when you get hauled off to a camp, you eat whatever they give you?
I don't think that somebody cared about that. Nothing.
And when you got to Israel, was everything kosher?
Yeah, everything was kosher, and I remember the only thing my parents told us about Israel, that everybody is Jewish, and we don't have to hide anymore.